But you took a big risk. You were playing with the Hurricanes,
I was.
and you got a chance to go with this Beatles group.
Yeah, I know.
But the Hurricanes were bigger at the moment.
They were, but I loved from Germany where we met, really. We were playing Rory and the Hurricanes, and the Beatles were playing the different clubs, and the guy Koshmi, who owned both of them, put us on the same club. And I loved John, Paul, and George. I just loved that front line. And, you know, we would do at the weekend 12 hours between us. And I'd be there for the last gig, you know, just sitting there watching the front line, requesting songs. Yeah, so then they asked, and I had no hesitation, really, but people did say, "Are you going to leave Rory?" And I said, yeah, I'm going to leave. You know, you just make a step up.
I'm interested to know why that was. You liked the group.
I did. I loved
liked the music.
Yeah, they were great players. They were you know, Rory was a showman, and we were players, and we had a guitarist called Johnny Guitar who was great, but that was about it, really. But we, you know, we were big in Liverpool, and I just loved them. So, you know, the thing Brian called it was a Wednesday. He said, "Would you join the band?" I said, "Sure." I said, "When?" He said, "Oh, tonight." I said, "No, I can come Saturday because they've got to get another drummer." Because, you know, we're all playing the same songs.
Well, let's go back for a minute. Even before the Hurricanes, you heard Lightnin' Hopkins, you heard
Ernest
Tubb, you heard
Hank Williams,
all of those. Did you hear other drummers? For example, Gene Krupa was a big drummer.
I went to see, I think it was the Glenn Miller story. Gene Krupa was actually in it. Yeah. But people always ask me, "Oh, what about those drummers and those records?" I never listened to the drummer. I listened to the whole thing. You know, there was an Al Green track called "I'm a Ram," and the guy hit the hi-hat, boom, boom, boom. Psst. It's like magic to me. And I remember I remember those moments. We're sitting with Klaus Bormann in this apartment we have in London, and so that did. But Al Jackson, yes, I know the names, and they played on great records, but it wasn't like I was listening for the drums.
You've been in the wind for a long time, my friend.
Better than having wind.
Well, I can agree with that.
Yeah, I have. You know, from 1960, when I left the factory, this is what I've done. You know, I've played, I've toured, made a few good records.
Made a few good records.
Yeah.
You know, and I know many people, particularly people who are at the top or who have been at the top, who lose their moorings.
They do.
They lose the authenticities. They don't know where to come up to. You haven't done that.
Well, thanks. I hope not. I think it's all part of where we came from as well. But you know, I always give credit that there was, you know, we're talking about the Beatles now, 4 of us. I mean, I was in Rory Storm and the Hurricanes, but there were 4 of us, and we all from the same city, and we would look at each other. You know, if one of us would be freaking out or being a big shot, 3 other people would go, "Excuse me," you know, and that kept us. And, you know, it's interesting because the time we met Elvis, I really thought, how sad he's on his own. And he had all those people around, but he was on his own. I had 3 great mates. I'm well enough a bit here.
But you mentioned earlier you had a God-given gift.
Yeah, time.
How much of it is a God-given gift, and how much of it is all those hours you spent practicing?
I didn't. I hate practicing. I hate sitting there. I tried it when I first got the kit upstairs in the back room, you know, all those movies that were made. And it was the most boring thing ever. I did all my learning with other musicians, other bands. I was lucky because there were a lot of us around, and we weren't all great players. We were all learning, so I learned everything with everyone else at that time.
This is in Liverpool?
In Liverpool, yeah. But I was lucky in the factory. The guy who lived next door to me in the street worked in the factory, and he was Eddie Miles, a great guitarist. He's just one of those guys, picked it up, can play anything, you know. And my best friend, Roy, made a tea chest bass, and I had a snare drum and brushes, and we used to play to the men at lunchtime in the basement. And that's how I started. And now I'm talking to you.
But life is good. But life hasn't always been good, even for Sir Ringo.
No, Sir Ringo had his downside. He got completely crazed with alcohol and cocaine and drugs. And my career went into the dumper, and because my use went up, and that's all I did. I ended up in a spot where I didn't know how you didn't do that. I didn't know how you didn't do alcohol and drugs.
So we're talking about when you hit rock bottom, it was during the 80s.
Yeah.
Or was it before then?
No. My career sort of went down from, it started really going down fast around about 74, 75. And then I was on the road to hell, really.
What brought you around? I mean, some people never get out of it.
Yeah, you know, that day arrived where I came out of a blackout and I'd done a lot of damage, and I said to Barbara, you've got to get me in one of those places. She called somebody, who called somebody, and we ended up in Sierra, Tucson. And I drank all the way. I didn't know you didn't drink. I drank all the way to the rehab. And I got to know Mike in Chicago Airport. He was the guy behind the bar, and that was it. I haven't had a drink since.
Now, this is your second marriage, but you're working on what, 37 years in this marriage?
Well, we've been together 38 years, and we've been married for 37 years.
Well, you know, there are a lot of men in this audience who would like to know what it's like to be married to a Bond girl for 37 years.
Great. But she's more than a Bond girl, and I'm more than a Beatle, so it was one of those madnesses, you know, in my life. We were in 1980 in January going to Mexico to do this movie, and I was checking in, and she was checking in over there with her boyfriend, was seeing her off, and I just fell in love with the lady. And my story is then she tortured me for a couple of months, and then we haven't been apart since. Yeah.
Well, one of your children, Zach,
Yeah.
has followed in your footsteps. Plays
Yeah.
with The Who, a great drummer in his own
Yeah, he's
right.
an incredible drummer, yeah. I gave him one lesson. And then, like 2 weeks later, I thought, I'll give you the second lesson. And he said, oh, I can do that, Dad. I said, well, you're on your own. And, you know, that's what he's done. He's found his own style. He's done it his own way. Yeah.
Is he left-handed?
He's not left-handed, no.
Well, so he had a little better start.
Well, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. But my other son plays drums also. It's like mad, you know. But he is more of a family man, and so he didn't want to like go out there and do that stuff.
Well, question, did you try to encourage your children into music?
No. But Zach, you know, is also good on guitar. He's like musical. I played the music. He was like 10 when I bought him his first kit because he was taking an interest. And he's basically done it on his own.